Welcome to another new episode of the Get Organised with Decluttr Me podcast with myself, Shalina. I hope you're well wherever you are in the world. Today, we're going to dive into a fantastic and often overlooked aspect of home organisation: how your surroundings can profoundly impact your mental health and overall mindset. Joining me today is Holly from Clickbayt, an innovative online interior design and home styling service based right here in the UAE. With Bayt meaning house in Arabic, Clickbayt offers a unique approach to transforming your living space entirely online. In this episode, Holly is going to share her insights on how a disorganised or unfinished home can contribute to anxiety, negative thoughts, and even imposter syndrome, especially for those of us working from the home. We'll also explore the mental health benefits of making small, affordable changes to your space and how these adjustments can lead to a more serene and positive living environment. So whether you're feeling overwhelmed by your current space or just curious about how your surroundings might be affecting your mindset, this episode is packed with practical advice and inspiration. I can't wait for you to hear it. So hi, Holly. Welcome to the Get Organised with Decluttr Me podcast. I'm so happy that you're here with me today.
Thank you. Thanks so much for inviting me on. I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, this is going to be awesome. So we're going to talk about interiors and design and everything because, I see a lot of it when I work with clients, but I wanted to get more of an insight and, talk about like mental health and how how home styling can help improve it. So, let's just get into it. So tell me, what were you doing before you got into home styling?
So I've only been doing this since 2017, 2018. So before that, I was a copywriter. I moved to Dubai fresh out of university. My sister lived here and convinced me to move straight over. And I started working in a marketing company, marketing department within a big hospitality company. And just started getting into copywriting and just started writing and editing, and then did that all the way up to doing this basically. So completely different.
Completely. Mine was a big change from lawyer to organizer, but yeah, yours is as well. It's that's so cool. So then how did you get into the home styling?
So my parents have always renovated every house we've lived in. So you'd come home from school and your bedroom wall would have been moved to another place, or the bathroom would have been knocked down and that sort of thing. We never just bought it as it is and just live like that. It was always changes, move on to the next house, change it again. So I've always been really interested in it. I've always wanted to do it, but I don't know why, but when I went to university, it just never came up as an option for me. So
right. Okay.
I did a degree in Spanish and Portuguese translation. So again, completely different to what I'm doing. It just I never really thought of it something as a full-time career. And then it wasn't until I was in Dubai, and obviously I like to say everything that glitters in Dubai actually is gold, isn't it?
Yeah.
Dubai, these hotels that are amazing, restaurants. You go to people's houses and they just all look so nice and so different to what I was used to.
Yeah.
So it just reignited the fire, really. That's why I started doing friends of houses, friends of friends, and then started growing from there. So naturally grew it slowly over the first couple of years. And then since COVID, it's just been nonstop, really.
Yeah, because everybody is styling and renovating the houses. A lot of people bought houses during COVID time, didn't they? And then decided to renovate the insides. I've noticed that a lot.
We're spending so much time in our homes, much more time nowadays, aren't we? So home offices are a big thing, and it all everyone realised that their IKEA carbon copy homes were no longer good enough. So they all decided to make small changes here and there.
Yeah, no, completely. Yeah, I think that was the thing. And I suppose because of social media and TikTok and Instagram show different houses as well, don't they?
Yeah.
So let's get into how do you see the connection between the physical surroundings and the way people perceive themselves and their lives? We talked about COVID, but how do you see that as well?
So, home is where the heart is, isn't it? So if your heart and your home aren't aligned, something is going to feel off. So when I go into someone's house, you instantly feel them panicking about having to apologize for things.
Yeah.
And it's why are you apologizing to me about that your house doesn't look well? That's look good. That's what I'm here for.
Yeah.
So I that you can instantly tell that people are having sort of mental anxiety or emotional attachment issues related to what they're surrounded by.
Yeah.
The more, it doesn't even have to be beautiful things, but the more things that are around you that are beautiful to you, it just helps calm you. I mean, we've all been in that place where we go into a hotel room and you're like, oh my God, there's no clutter, there's nothing here, there's just everything looks perfect, and you instantly feel relaxed. Whereas if you were going into something like a hotel room and there was washing hanging up and there was piles of paper and there was all bookshelves covered in stuff everywhere, you just wouldn't feel relaxed, would you?
Yeah. No,
So
that's true. Yeah.
home, but because it's our home and people just sort of put it second, I think a lot of the times over here people are renting as well, so they don't realize that they can have a nice relaxing serene haven if it's not their home that they own.
Yeah.
So people tend to just put stuff together randomly, don't they, and then just sort of live with it and then feel bad about it on a daily basis.
Yeah, and but I think like I've seen changes, and it's become more easier to buy things to make changes even in rentals. So that's been great to see, like wrapping and things, which we'll talk about as well. But yeah, so like, and I think it's true, you know, because I have it as the same with the clients that they'll say, please don't judge me when they send me pictures and videos. I'm like, I'm not here to judge, I'm here to fix it. So you've got the same thing. It's like, don't apologize.
Yeah, I always have people either apologize as I walk through the door, and sometimes the house you've seen that they've tidied up before you've come and they still apologize for things. Or I have people sort of talking down about themselves when they contact me, which is really interesting as well. So they'll message me saying, "Oh, hi, I'm looking for help with my living room. I'm so terrible in this. I have no style. I have no color
Yeah.
coordination." Like, before you even know who I am or as the person, you start listing things that you are negatively obviously telling yourself on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And that's your surroundings is making you feel like that about yourself.
Yeah.
So it's
No.
really,
Yeah, no, you're spot on. Yeah, it's true. Yeah. They do the same with me as well. So weird, isn't it? That's why we're so aligned together. So what kind of examples have you had of with clients when you've walked in of like disorganized or like an unfinished home that you've seen it when, you know, when they're apologizing?
um, it's not, I don't really have specific examples of like terror stories or horror stories where people are just, you see those shows back home where it's
Yeah.
people go in and the houses are just hoarders and everything. You don't really get that so much here. But you do get like a fascinating insight into people's lives just through looking, quickly scanning. Even when I do the online design, the online styling,
Yeah.
getting a video, and you do like, it is interesting to see how that affects them and how they feel about themselves. So like, for example, we've all been traveling a lot this summer. So if you think of yourself, you've just got back home and you've emptied out all your suitcases everywhere. There's stuff that is still needs to be put away, like the classic pile on the stairs of stuff that needs to be carried up the stairs, and everyone ignored the
Yeah.
stairs for weeks. And there's that pile of things that you don't really know what to do with it. There's cables, there's stuff. That's that feeling of getting home from holiday stresses everyone out. So imagine that on a daily basis with things around your house. So
Yeah.
it's, I always say to people, like, how, regardless of how you want your house to look, how do you want it to make you feel when you walk in? And a lot of the times, how they feel when they're looking at their house before working with me or with another stylist or designer or whoever, it's not what they want ultimately.
Right.
So, yeah, it's interesting how, so it's not there's not a specific example of people being like negatively impacted, but when you make small changes and in your styling and in how the things that are surrounding you, the main thing that people feel is just relief afterwards. They're like, oh,
Yeah.
this feels so nice now that
Yeah.
I've walked in. And I can be like, oh, this looks good, or this feels nice, or just makes you want to be home.
Yeah. No, that's the thing. And that's what you want them to feel. But what do you see when you walk in or when you see it online? Like, what is contributing to the anxiety or stress? Is it like mismatched furniture or just clutter or
No,
what?
most of my clients, it's not being finished. So they've got all of the furniture, they've got
Right.
like the TV unit, the sofa, the armchair, the dining table, but they don't have anything that makes it feel like a home. So they don't have the rugs, the lighting, accessories, or they have a lot of it, but it's in a box somewhere because they don't know what to do with it. So it's that finishing touches that the majority of my clients don't know how to do. And those, luckily for everyone, those are the easiest things to do. They're the most affordable things to change, things like accessories and artwork. But
Yeah.
they're also the most overwhelming, because if you pick a piece of art that you don't like, or a poster or whatever you don't like, you put it on the wall and it's not in the right place, you then have to stare at it, or you then have to get maintenance guys back out or change it. So people don't know what to do, and they also don't want to make the wrong mistakes.
Yes. Yeah.
Just going home into a house that feels unlived in, or doesn't reflect you and how you want to be perceived as a person, I think that contributes a lot to people's stress in their homes.
That's interesting. That's really because I mean, I'm quite eclectic, and I like collecting things when I travel or I get given things. But I've seen with a lot of people, there's either not much or they have stuff, and like a lot of people are buying from like Amazon or from the shops the same. I mean, beige is the color right now, so everybody's doing this minimalist white beige decorations and stuff, and I see it all the time, the same thing. So that's interesting.
And I think maybe you have the same as well with trends that you see. I mean, you probably have people show you like the Pinterest or the Instagram reels or whatever of the super organized cupboards. It's the same with interiors. You have people say it's almost like they feel like they're obliged to follow a trend, even though they've got no emotional connection to it whatsoever.
Yes.
So sometimes you have a client that's like, I absolutely love creams and beige and I don't want it all neutral. And then sometimes you have a person that after speaking to them, you realize they hate that, but they think that's what they should be having.
Yes.
So it's an interesting balance between putting something that is aesthetically beautiful, and I always like to do like timeless things that aren't going to age quickly, but also something that is unique to that person and personalized to that person, not just to their budgets, their requirements, their family, but also to how like their unique style and the emotional attachment to their house, basically.
Yeah, I think that's how it should be, because I see that. And I mean, I'm lucky I go into so many houses. So I do see the trends as well. So like, the beige thing is boring for me. I see it all the time. But no, it's interesting to hear you say that. And I see it with the clients, so you can see it from their clothes, what they wear and what they declutter. They wear certain things. Like I wear black all the time, so if I have something orange, it's not me. So it's the same thing with clients. But I have the same thing that I was thinking before we were going to have the episode. I was like, I have a lot of eclectic things, but I look at all this styling and interiors and I love it, and I think maybe I should do this, but then I just don't know how. So I'm going to I need your help with rugs. I'm terrible at rugs. Yeah, it's weird. Like people just, and like lighting, like I don't know what to get I need to change the lights in this house. And I'm sure lots of people have the same thing, and they'll come to you and go, I just don't know what to get. Like, how do you know what will work?
It's I mean, it takes practice to look at people's houses and instantly know. Like when I first started, I'd even myself, I'd have the anxiety of like the imposter syndrome of, oh my God, I'm about to tell this person to buy a rug for 3,000 dirhams. I don't know if it's right.
Yeah.
That sort of panic. But now it's so many homes now that you just instantly look and you're like, okay, coffee table's the wrong shape, or there's too many lines, there's not enough circles, or there's not enough texture in the room, or it's just something that you learn over time. But it's interesting that I've had quite a few clients that are interested in it themselves. And once they learn where I'm coming from with the things, they then message me years later saying, oh, I've just replicated this in my new home. Do you think it's okay? And it's like, those are the things that you learned originally, and now you've been able to carry it on down to other homes. I have a client actually that she was based in Dubai. They've moved to Saudi now, but she was based in Dubai, and she just hated her home. She had most beautiful furniture from Crate and Barrel, Marina Home, like high-end things, and she just hated being there. She never felt it was cozy or anything.
Oh.
And then tiny, small changes. Yeah, it's so people always think if you've got big budgets, your home's going to be amazing, but it's all relative to you personally. So we just did some small changes, changed a bit of her styling on the shelving. I think it was like lamps, rugs and cushions, and that was it. And she loves it so much that they moved to Saudi, and they've kept the lease on the apartment because she's like, I don't want to let it go. I want to come back and still be in my little home. And then now in Saudi, she said so she's done the same thing with new stuff.
Yeah.
So it's a skill that you learn basically over time, and
Yeah.
people that are interested in homes and stuff, there is like a pattern to follow
Yeah.
things.
I think, but it's that first step, or having someone like you guide, because for people like me, even though I have an eye, it's intimidating because there's so many, like just looking at rugs, I've only got 4
Yeah.
rugs. That's all I can manage in my life. And it's even now, it's like I don't like the rug behind. I bought that last year, and it's the cat's already ruining it. But it's just like, does this really work? Don't think it does, but I just don't know what else to get. So I'm sure you have people like that all the time going, I'm not sure that I bought the right thing.
It's one of the reasons I started Clickbayt, because there wasn't that gap in the market for styling and an interiors advice or help that didn't cost you a fortune. So when I started, I was on an IKEA budget myself, but I didn't want my house to look like IKEA. So I thought, okay, I'm having to source these things from random places. No one knows how to do this, and so no one has time. And if you're not interested in it, it takes forever.
Yeah.
So those little small bits of advice here and there, just to change affordable things, is something that's really important, and something that I've always tried to keep on as well with styling clients. Like I like it when people message me on Instagram that I'm not even working with, but they message me and say, "Oh, I saw that you did a circle coffee table in that room. Do you think this one looks okay in mine?" Stuff like that. I like that, helping people, because at the end of the day, it is making them feel happier in their home, which is going to make them feel happier in their life, and it's going to translate down to all areas, isn't it?
Yeah, it does. It does trickle down. That's true. So what do you do, like, with people if you go to like, you see mostly things online, but when you online or in their house, when you go in, if they have too much clutter, what do you do in that kind of instance? Like, how do you deal with them?
Interestingly enough, I'd say majority of my online clients don't have clutter, and I think that's because they don't have clutter, they're able to do the whole process themselves. So they can manage, I tell them to change these things and they can manage it themselves. But a lot of my styling face-to-face clients are overwhelmed with clutter. So not even in a hoarding sense, just in too much stuff. So they've downsized from a big place, or they've traveled around the world and they've got things from all around the world that they want to incorporate, but it doesn't go together, that sort of thing. So it's interesting. The online people, I mean, you'll obviously know there's obviously a direct link between less clutter, less overwhelm, so you can do your house yourself. Face-to-face people, it almost gets so they have to step back and have someone else handle it for them. But the majority, like I was saying, the majority of the clutter is more books, little mementos from traveling around. Like it's not rubbish that can easily be thrown away, but it's a lot of stuff.
And I think with a lot of people, especially when they're expats, it's a mental thing as well, because they've left their home, so they're trying to keep their home with mementos to feel homely, but sometimes they go overboard, or a lot of the time. So I think that's the issue.
A lot of the houses here don't have the same storage you would if you were back in like the UK or America or wherever. We don't have attics, we don't have basements, a lot of us don't have garages that you can put the stuff in the garage. So you end up with stuff inside your house.
There is that's a huge issue. Especially in apartments. Like I used to have in my apartment in Motor City, I had a storeroom, but here I don't have one. So my boxes are in one of the bathrooms.
I have that a lot. I have the clients in villas that don't have a nanny living in the maid's room. They just pile stuff in there. And you open it, they're like, "Don't go to the maid's room. It's not a real room. It's just our storage closet."
I was organising that the other day. It's completely, Lots of people are going, we don't want to live in maid just so they can have that maid's room for the storeroom. It's it's crazy, isn't it? So, have you noticed when you're working with clients, like we've talked about, when people call you and stuff, but have you seen their emotions and their thoughts change, after they've had a session with you?
Yeah, definitely. So with my face-to-face clients anyway, I always say to them, leave me to do this. You carry on with your day or whatever. It takes me a couple of hours and then come back, because I like to see the before and after reaction just to show that I've done a good job. And if I don't get that reaction, I then say, okay, well, live with it for a day and then I'll come back or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's the main emotion is probably relief. It's just the fact that they know they can then just come back into their living room or into their bedroom and just then feel like, oh, thank God someone's done it for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not even to do with changing the aesthetics so much. It's just changing the energy around the room. So if you're moving things around, as they walk in, they feel happier.
Yeah.
The room looks like refreshed, even if it's only been tiny minor tweaks here and there on things.
Yeah.
I'd say the biggest emotion is probably relief. And then with my online clients, it's almost like an ownership that I get back from them. So they'll message me like a couple of weeks later being like, oh my God, I'm so happy with my house. Look what I did. So it's made them fall in love with it again.
Yeah.
It's almost like I did it for myself and I've done it myself. So it's nice. It's a really nice job to be in.
Oh, that's amazing. So what happens with the clients, like you said, like, you know, if they don't have that immediate response and like a few days later, what happened? Like, do you go back and how do you deal with that?
Well, I always say to them, because I sometimes feel like I jump the gun with people too much. I hate awkward silence. So then I then be like, oh, if you don't like it, and then I think it plays into my own imposter syndrome as well, being like, if you don't like it, I'll come back and change it all, or I'll put it back how it was. But like, I've never actually had someone come back and say they don't like it. The only things I've had would be people saying, oh, I've moved this to this side. Does this look okay now? And then you're like, yeah, that looks absolutely perfect. Absolutely fine. And it's important that it's their home. I mean, I could have it looking how I think it's art, isn't it? It's art is in the holder. So I could have it looking how I think it looks amazing. But for them, just doing slightly different things is then their ideal home. So luckily, I'm very lucky I don't get anyone coming back saying, oh, you've made my house look worse. Otherwise I'd be out of a job.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I always have that worry as well. And then it's like, no. And I say to clients as well, like, especially in closets, you can move it. You can move things around. I've organized it, but you can move the dresses somewhere else if you don't want them there to make it easy. So yeah, I think it's the same with you. Like, yeah, if it's logical and practical for them, then yeah, move it. No, that's interesting. So what advice would you give like to listeners who might be listening right now, but they're struggling with that motivation to restyle their house?
So I think motivation and overwhelm are obviously linked in from my own personal experience. Whenever I'm feeling like I don't want to do something, it's just because I've got a lot to do, or I don't want to do it because it really doesn't interest me. So if you want to do it yourself and you're interested in getting your home back to how you want it to look, then break it down. There's a really interesting book that I read when I was back writing called Bird by Bird. And it's the theory behind the name is the author's younger brother was supposed to do this massive assignment over the summer on loads of different birds, and he's supposed to research them and everything. Anyway, they get to the weekend before school starts and he breaks down. He hasn't done any of it. And the dad just sits him down and says, okay, buddy, bird by bird, we're going to take it bird by bird. And I just thought that's such an interesting way of looking at things. Now, wherever aspects of my life I'm feeling overwhelmed or anxious or whatever, I'm like, okay, bird by bird. And it's the same with your house. So take it room by room, and then within that room, take it bit by bit. So get out a notepad, go into your master bedroom and be like, okay, things I don't like is the color of the bedding, the lights, whatever. List down what you don't like, list down what you do like, and then check off things like that. Okay, so if you don't like the bedding, look into bedding that you like, get that, fine, done. One thing first, and then you start to feel a little bit happier. It's like filling up your cup, isn't it? You feel a little bit happier. The lamps, you feel a little bit happier, and then by the end of it, you're like, oh my God, I love my room, and I've done it all slowly and in a nice way. I haven't felt stressed by it. I've managed to take my time to make decisions as well. So think bird by bird.
Oh, that's amazing. I have never heard that before. That is genius, actually. That's really good advice. No, because I always say about doing a mini declutter, but this is great. Bird by bird. Okay, I'm going to use that now. So how can people get in touch with you if they can't do it bird by bird and they need you to help them to do it for them? I mean,
my Instagram is probably the best way to contact me. I have Clickbayt, the company one, which is Clickbayt with a Y, underscore UAE. Or I have my own personal one, which I do Instagram stuff with, interior stuff with as well. But I also talk about being a mom and being like working in the industry, like sort of a behind the scenes version
Right.
of the
Okay.
Clickbayt stuff. And that's Homes Holly Castro. So either of those, I'm active all the time. I go in waves of being active with my social media. So sometimes I'm on stories all the time, posting all the time, and then
Yeah.
sometimes I'm just silent for a month, but I will reply straight away. But sometimes my activity is great.
Oh, that's fine. I mean, we all like that. It's like there's so much things to do as well, especially now, like at the beginning of the new school year and stuff. But I will put also in the show notes your handles as well, so that people can get in touch with you and find out more about what you do. So thank you so much for being on the show. Like, it's been so informative, and I definitely need you just to help me with my rugs and my lights, because I'm just like, it's just terrible. So you got a new customer. But yeah, thank you so much. And I hope everybody enjoyed listening to you. Thanks again.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks so much to Holly for being on the episode today to talk about all things styling. It was so interesting, and it definitely has spurred me on to get my lighting and rug sorted out as well. If you loved what you heard, please share it with your friends and family and let them know about the episode. And leave a comment as well, or leave a review. That would be amazing. Thank you so much again to Holly, and thank you for listening, and I'll talk to you next week. Take care. Bye.